Hey guys, in this video I'm just going to dive into some tactical strategies that I implemented in my outreach to double my appointment booking rate in the last few months. As you can see here, I have sent out quite a lot of emails. I've sent out hundreds of thousands of emails. Okay, maybe not that much, maybe like 100,000 emails in the last few months for a bunch of my clients. And this was actually the exact same client, and this is why I wanted to show you on the exact same client had doubled their appointment booking rate because I implemented these three strategies, and I kind of want to go over that and show you how you can do the same and increase your reply rates, almost double it, which will double your appointment booking rate. As you can see here, they had 34, and in the following months they had 75, and we've actually sent out less emails for the following months. So I'm going to show you how that was done in a bit here. So the primary three things that was actually implemented to pull this off was taking advantage of the global marketplace. And to give you some context, this was actually for a creative agency, and they provided service all over the globe, and they did like video production, social media packages, the typical marketing agency pretty much. And so that was one of the reasons, taking advantage of the global marketplace. The second one was actually sourcing the leads in more unconventional locations, and I'll dive into that in a bit here. And also the third one was just going adjacent point of contact. I know that sounds quite technical. It sounds like technical jargon, but I'll clear it up and it'll all make sense in a bit here. And let's start with the first one. So the first thing that we actually did was, I see too many people just target the United States. I mean, I talk to lots of prospects, lots of clients, and they always say I want to target the United States whenever I ask them for their ICP, which is ideal client profile, and they always mention the United States, which is fine, but I think it's a little lazy and oversaturated, especially if you're doing like a digital service where you can actually do fulfillment from anywhere, so you can service clients from all over the globe. And I'm not saying don't target the United States, but there are other countries out there that are just as high paying as the United States, that have just as much investment opportunity. And think of your countries like Dubai is a pretty big one. I always see close to double the appointment booking rate from Dubai, just because these people are not reached out to nearly as often. Any country in Europe is good, so Netherlands, Switzerland, Croatia, Portugal, those countries are great. Australia and New Zealand is a really underrated one. People don't go for that. Canada's pretty much the United States 2.0, right? It's literally right above the States. So Canada's a really good one. Even Asian countries are good. Japan is good. Another good one that's not on here is Singapore. Singapore is really good. Hong Kong is really good. So there's a bunch of geographical locations that you can take advantage of, and just reaching out to these people are not hit up nearly as often as the United States, right? Because everybody thinks United States as soon as you talk to about getting clients. So go for these more untapped markets, and you might be surprised with the results that can come your way. And the actual second thing that we did was go for unconventional lead sourcing. So what that means is, when you're sourcing your leads, especially from the internet, people might go on Apollo, right? You might know what that is, apollo.io. Or they might just buy lead lists from places, right? Which is fine, but if you can source leads from unconventional places, and what I mean by that is, let's say this is you sourcing leads. These are like the special leads, and I'll tell you what I mean by that. So these are the special leads, right? In order for you to get these leads, you either have to pay some form of money. Maybe you buy subscriptions. Maybe there is time that's involved with you scraping these leads. Maybe there's expertise that's required, right? So the more friction there is to actually scrape these leads, the less people are going to do it, which means these leads are untapped, which means if you are able to spend a little bit more time and go the route that's not easy, like Apollo. Apollo is very easy, right? You just go to Apollo, you just type in the search filter, they even give you the emails, and that's that. But if you can find a way where you can source the leads from a place where people don't often go to, and I'll give you some examples like LinkedIn. LinkedIn Sales Navigator is really good. And the one thing I like about LinkedIn Sales Navigator is the fact that it's expensive. It's very expensive. And they actually don't give you your emails. So you don't actually see prospects' emails, which means you have to go for an additional step, right? You need to use tools like AnyMail Finder. You need to use tools like Neverbounce. You need to use tools like Phantom Buster, if you've heard of that one. But, the tool doesn't really matter. What I'm trying to say is all these cost money. They all cost time to implement. They all cost expertise. And to implement, especially in bulk, you need to have some sort of AI system in place to actually scrape the leads from Sales Navigator, find people's emails, verify their emails, write personalized copy, things like that. So what I'm trying to say is the leads from the Sales Navigator is always going to be much more fresh for you to contact, and that's going to always yield better results. I'll give you another golden nugget. You can use platforms like Exa. I don't know if you've heard of that one. It's pretty much an AI browser, right? It's you just type in your ideal prospect in their search bar, and then they will go scour the internet and find you some prospects that will match. And you can do the same thing. Take the prospects, put it into AnyMail Finder, Neverbounce, Phantom Buster, whatever the case may be, and find people's emails, right? Or, but you can put it into Perplexity and then find more details about the company, the decision makers, all that good stuff. But my point is, right, you want there to be some sort of friction in order for you to get to the leads. You don't want a platform like Apollo where you just go and then you just buy the leads, right? You get the leads same day, same hour, without much effort. That means everybody's doing it. So you want to go a different route. Even things like, this actually ties in perfectly to the next point, which is going adjacent point of contact. So what I mean by this is, let's say you are a marketing agency, right? You're a marketing agency. And what a lot of people do is, let's say you service your ICP, ideal client profile is, let's say it's local businesses, right? Let's say it's like local businesses, construction. That's a pretty common one. You do marketing for construction companies. Cool. Okay. So typically how people would get clients is they will cold call. That's one thing people will do. A lot of people actually just cold call, which is fine. They can email. Cool. You can do Instagram DM. Okay. You can do Facebook DM, which is probably more common. I've seen people do SMS. Okay. Probably the most common ones are cold calling and SMS, right? These construction companies get hit up by all types of marketing agencies about they're selling to them in regards to cold call and SMS, right? Through those ventures. So what I'm saying in terms of adjacent point of contact is this is where everybody's at, right? They're cold calling and SMS to the construction company. Everybody's trying to cold call construction companies. I mean, you try cold calling construction companies, they'll tell you, right? So what you want to just do is just go adjacent point of contact. Go through a venture that these companies don't get hit up often, right? Because what most people do is if they want to go for a construction company, they will just go to Google Maps, scrape the construction company details very easily, and then just call up the number, right? But if you're able to actually go adjacent venues like email, right? These companies don't really get hit up by email that often. People don't know even if they do, they will actually usually, a lot of people will email the info email. So it's like info@companyname.com. People email because it's usually on the website and it's easy to get. But if you actually just put all their details through AnyMail Finder and find their emails that way, you can actually get like a personal email. So you put in a little bit of effort, find the company owner, and then you put his name and his company URL into AnyMail Finder, and you might get something like james@construction.com, whatever his company name is, right? His not his personal email, but his personal company email, directly into his inbox instead of the info. Because usually with info emails, it might be a receptionist that takes care of it or whatever the case may be. But if you send it to James, the owner's going to see it. And he gets cold call every day. He doesn't get emails much, not nearly as often as a cold call. So if you just are able to find adjacent point of contact, same thing with Instagram, right? If you're trying to reach out to a bunch of Instagram creators, if you just find their emails and email them, that's much more completely uncharted territories rather than Instagram DM, right? Because everybody's trying to DM them on Instagram. So why not email them? Or maybe find their LinkedIn, DM them somewhere else. LinkedIn. Find their Twitter or X. DM them there. Or find their YouTube. Write a YouTube comment. Why not? YouTube comment on their YouTube video. Whatever the case may be. Right? Email. Or you can even use tools like, there's this tool called Full and Rich, which helps you find people's phone numbers. Call them. Call their personal phone numbers using Full and Rich, these Instagram coaches, because they've never had that before. They'll pick up. They'll be like, who the hell is this? They've never experienced a cold call. So if you cold call them, it feels like it's something they've never experienced before, or at least far less frequent than an Instagram DM, right? That's what I mean by adjacent point of contact. If you are in an industry where cold calling is the norm, go a different route. Put a little bit of effort in. Exactly. It goes back to the principle of just friction, right? You want some friction in your process so that you stand out more. So do that. And especially if you do that for markets that are already untapped, like what I mentioned to you before, that's not the United States. It's like you're just compounding the effect, and it's gonna add up. It's gonna help you get double the response rates, which happened in my case. So you see here, the response rate was 1.4. It went to 2.1, and look at that. Total emails actually less. So we sent less emails and got much more results, which is crazy. And if you're wondering why the open rates and the click rates are 0, that's because we don't track them, because it hurts deliverability. But hopefully that helps out. Hopefully you can put that to good use, apply these, and then see what happens. I promise to you, you will get better results.